Hi everyone, so today we're going to have a look at product analysis in relation to the exam paper. So typically this will be in paper 2, the hour and a half paper that you'll sit, and section A will be your product analysis part. So it'll give you um, a separate part of the exam which will just have some coloured pictures, and it'll ask you, it'll depend on what the question is, but we'll go through the kind of things that you can talk about. So like I say, typically it will show you a picture of a product or a group of products that needs to be analysed. So what it asks you could be a varying different type of thing. So it might ask you to compare materials, the design process used, the manufacturing process used, how the design is influenced by different design styles. So it might ask you to talk about, say, Bauhaus or Distill, or any other designers like Philippe Starck, those type of things, and the influence of technological developments. So, like in terms of how things have improved since they've been manufactured, socioeconomic reasons, moral issues, ethical issues, or any environmental issues to do with the products involved. So, all we're going to do for this video, okay, so two different speakers, two different radios. So, for each radio, compare the design and the materials used in relation to their suitability. So, it says 8 marks. So I'm going to talk you through sort of my process of what I would do with it. So looking at both of them, so automatically you think the left one is a little bit older than the right one. So the left one does look quite an old school one. You think that's probably around the 1940s, 1950s. So to me, that does look like it's made from timber. So that is probably handmade. It's probably natural timber. Whereas the one on the right does look more modern. So that does look like it's made out of thermosetting plastic. So that's probably been injection molded. So automatically the one on the right is easier to mass produce because uh, it's got a mass production method involved with it. The one on the left, you'd say, so it looks a lot like smoother, a lot like nicer edges to it. There's not any sharp points to it. It has that old school feel of it. So that typically means that you can be more expensive. It is analog, so you can see that there is no jack or anything like that to have like modern phones or iPods or anything in it like that. But you've got like the dials, which are certainly prevalent in like the 1940s, 1950s, maybe more the 1950s and the 40s, because the 40s when you had the really big radios that tend to be there was no TVs in the house. People had these big radios that you'd sit around and listen to stories, and there wasn't things going on the entire time. Whereas one on the right is very modern, so touchscreen, so you can obviously have radio on it, so you then can attach your phone, your iPad, whatever it may be, and then it's all touchscreen, nice and colourful that way. And it is quite a sleek looking design. Obviously, there's a little bit sharper edging to it, but you'd say, okay, there's quite big speakers in it. Now, obviously, it'd be hard to know without, but you'd assume the sound quality is probably going to be better for the new one because it's probably digital now as opposed to the analog one on the left. So those are sort of the thought processes I would go through. So reading the question again. So for each radio, compare the design and the materials used. So we talked about the design of it. So materials wise, okay, so we think that's probably a thermo setting plastic, or it might be metal. It might have been pressed out of metal, perhaps. What you can't do is just say metal or plastic or wood. Obviously, you've got to be more specific, and you talk about the properties of it. Reason why I would say thermosetting plastic, uh, maybe ABS perhaps, is because it can be mass produced very, very easily, and something like that does need to be mass produced. The reason I'd say a hardwood like that is because it's got a nice dark grain to it. Typically, that's probably been handmade because of the time when mass production wasn't really a thing, and it has a nice look. And they like things to have that sort of natural look. So this is before design movements like they like to have things have that natural look. So they thought anything that sort of mass produced sort of looks very generic, and people like to have sort of very unique objects that way. That's the materials of it, and that's the design of it. So there's 8 marks. So essentially, you're going to get 4 points to discuss. So pick 4 different points for each thing to discuss. So you can talk about the materials we want and discuss either way and get you 2 marks. So you could then talk about the overall look of it. So you talk about the sharp corners, the fact that one looks smoother than the other, the fact that it looks cleaner. We'll give you another 2 marks. So that would be what we got now. We've got another 6 marks to get. Uh, sorry, yeah, 6 marks to get. The fact that talk about the manufacturing process, so one is probably more suitable to mass produced or batch produced than, uh, mass produced compared to like one off or small batch produced would be another key point. And at the end, you need to sort of give an overall summary about which one you think is more suitable and why. That's a very typical sort of product analysis question. It works with anything as well. So what I would like to do, once you've been through this, if you could then find two similar products as well and look at comparing them, try and avoid really like generic, boring products. Like don't pick like footballs or like I comparing an iPhone 10 to an iPhone 11 or anything like that. Try and find some like that got some nice difference to it, like pieces of furniture like chairs, or you could pick like a TV remote from one type to another, and try and analyze it in the same sort of way. So you can pick any of the ones we've talked about. So for this example, we were just talking about the materials and the design of it. So pick any of those points and try and analyze them yourself and see what you can come up with. If you've got any questions, please send me an email or message me on Teams and I'll get back to you.